If you want to develop for any AngularJS for multiple pages, we're continuously like, for example, here this is for one website. In this website, we have different pages. Okay, all these pages we are developing using HTML and CSS, JavaScript and jQuery. Earlier days means 2009 before. 2009 before, we are going to develop for every pages using HTML and CSS, JavaScript. But what the problem at the time? So here, if you take for about CEH, this is one page. So in this page we have like multiple pages, but each and every page have some common alignment. That is common alignment, nothing but here one is the like menu bar and header session and something like left panel and body of things are common to all the pages. So in these pages, if you are going to see for all the things, this common thing again and again we have to go like maintain for data, like maintain the code. So that code is nothing but if you are maintaining each and every code, like common code to each and every page means the memory will be increased. So that memory is increasing means once performance is going to reduce. So to avoid for this performance issues, we are not preferring for multi pages. Okay, we are not preferring for multi pages. So in this multi pages issues, we are handling with single page problem. That is nothing, single page development. Single page development, what we are doing, we are common alignment we are developing using one code. So what we are seeing earlier before 2009. Before 2009, what are the problem we are seeing? So if you are developing for one website, contain home and about us and like something else like colleges, like branches, 3 pages are there, but 3 pages required common alignment. Common alignment we are maintaining for multiple times for code. So if you are maintaining for multiple time coding means memory is increasing, and if you are increasing the memory, the main drawback is drawback for increasing the memory means we performance is decreasing. So once the performance decrease means end user is not interested to access for our website. So there is so many issues using multi pages website, multi pages handling for web pages. So to avoid for this multi pages handling web pages, we are going for single page handling. Single page handling. How we are doing single page handling means, here already we checked for in this earlier website. In this website, like menu bar is a common to all the pages, and here header section is common to all pages, and the left panel is common to all pages. So these are the common 3 contents for each and every pages. So what we are doing in AngularJS, so common things, menu items or menu bar. Next one, header section and left panel. All the things we are maintaining as a single page development. But earlier days, what you are doing, if menu item is required for 4 pages, four pages we are maintaining the code. 4 pages we are maintaining the code. But now if you required for 4 pages, same code means we are not maintaining for 4 times. We are maintaining for only one time. We are maintaining for only one time, not for 4 times. But when it comes to the earlier days, like menu items, header section and left panel required for 4 pages, we are maintaining for 4 times. But when it comes to the single page development, we are maintaining for one time code. So this one time code we are done with single page development using AngularJS. But in this AngularJS development, we have so many concepts are there. How we are maintaining for like 4 pages for one item. How to combine, how to bind the data. These are the things we have to see. So here, first we have to develop for common, like first we have to develop for common code. Then we are going to bind the data. We are going to bind the code wherever we required. So for that one, we are depend on like AngularJS directives. We are depend on AngularJS directives. So here, so many directives are there for like maintaining for AngularJS. So each and every directive have some like common utility, like common importance. So we have to know about importance of the like directives. So wherever we require the directive like performance, there we are using for the directive. So the directives are like ng app, and ng like ng model like ng bind. So like that, ng repeat. This kind of like directives are there. So like so many, nearly 12 to 13 12 to 15 directives are there. So each and every directive have some importance. So we have to know about that importance. But before going to all these directives, we have to see about what is the AngularJS. What is the AngularJS? Here, AngularJS is an open source like framework to develop for dynamic website. But is it suitable for static website? Static website means nothing for displaying purpose. For static website also, we are only displaying purpose. Wherever we require static website for common code for multiple pages also, there we have to use for like AngularJS. But main thing is AngularJS is useful for dynamic website because we require for dynamic actions like dynamic performance. So dynamic binding is required. So that's why we are using for AngularJS. So AngularJS is developed 2009, and but usual like companies are using from 2011. So from 2011 onwards, AngularJS is very popular for using for like developing for like dynamic web applications. So AngularJS is not only useful for Java technology. AngularJS is useful for not only Java technology, it will be useful for .NET and other technologies also. It will be support for all the technologies. So that's why all industry people are looking for front end development for a dynamic web application. So front end development means the pages, the application which is used are viewed by the end user. So usually we are end user viewing like HTML pages, and HTML pages is the combination of CSS and JavaScript. Okay, combination of CSS and JavaScript, because some HTML pages contains only displaying purpose, but some other HTML pages contain like displaying and dynamism. So these are all the things contained by the like static or dynamic web application. But main thing is AngularJS, it performing for dynamic actions. Dynamic actions. So sometime if you want to require, if you want to maintain only client side validation. So for client side validation purpose, we are depend on some inputs. and we have to validate all the things. So this validation also very easy with AngularJS. AngularJS. So that is very important. But earlier AngularJS, we are doing this kind of operation with JavaScript and jQuery. JavaScript and jQuery. But JavaScript is a framework. Like JavaScript is a not framework. It is a scripting language, and we are using for like actions, dynamic performance. But if you are dependent on only JavaScript, our code will be increased. So already initially we discussed what if code is increasing means if content of the web application increasing means our performance is going to reduce. So to avoid for JavaScript in code increasing, we are dependent on AngularJS, because AngularJS we have to do for one time binding or one time validation. It's enough. And jQuery is the library. jQuery is a library. Library means if you are developing for jQuery means we have to we have to do for some changes where whenever we require for some modifications or some dynamic updations. We have to do for modifications and dynamic updation. But if you are doing for modification dynamic updations, so many changes we have to do. So these things will be used like programmers. This can be used for programmers difficulty, like programming is difficulty. So, but if you are go with AngularJS kind of framework, it is handled with MVC kind of structure. So we are saying for MVC kind of structure means it is a structured oriented programming. Like if you see for C language or other languages, every program start with main function. So some indication is where you have to start and where you have to stop. So if you see for C programming, every program program will be start from main function and end with the main function. Similarly, AngularJS also some directives are there. AngularJS also have some directives. So in this directives have some importance. So wherever we have ng app. So ng app is indication that application should start from ng app, because one application we are maintaining for multiple ng apps. But if we are looking for one page, that one page can have HTML. One page can have the tags like HTML and div and HTML5 kind of tags. So we can apply for ng-app for all the tags. But the thing is, wherever we are applying for ng-app, that the tag having the main authority by the ng-app. So once we are giving for ng-app means the tag should be working with AngularJS framework. So if AngularJS framework we are using means it should be follow for AngularJS advantages, like AngularJS features. So what are the AngularJS features? We'll see for now. AngularJS features. So AngularJS features are data binding and structure programming. Data binding and structured programming and highly testable and TTD is supporting, like TDD is support. Like TDD support means test driven development. I will going to explain now all the things. What is the test driven experiment development and like highly testable. And next feature is the parallel development. Parallel development. And next one is the like a parallel development, all the things like routing support for SPA. Routing support for SPA, that is nothing but SPA. SPA means single page application. Single page application. Single page application. And next one is the like client side static management. Like client side state management. Client side state management. And dependency injection. And dependency injection. And like these are the things are the main features for AngularJS features. So here data binding. Data binding is a primary feature of AngularJS, and it is a main feature, data binding. So this is the primary feature of AngularJS. Why it is very primary? Because we are always saying for single page programming, a single page application we are saying na. So the single page application we are developing using the data binding. That is nothing but ng bind. So we are doing that ng bind. This binding can be done with two ways. One is the one-way binding, and another one is the two-way binding. So these are the main things. So if we want to use for one-way binding or two-way binding, we are depend on like AngularJS directives. When come to the structured programming, here structured programming, Java like structured programming is nothing but AngularJS is a structured framework. It is a structured framework. Like okay, and it uses MVC structure pattern to develop for. It uses for MVC pattern, like MVC structured pattern to develop for dynamic web application. And AngularJS is a client-side MVC. But here so many things are there, like MVC is like server-side MVC is there. If we take for like Java, we have like Spring MVC and other thing is there. If we take for .NET, ASP MVC and other things also there. But when come to the AngularJS means it is a client-side MVC. So client-side MVC means we are doing these things with like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So these are all the things we are handling with the like AngularJS MVC model. And due to this structure, we can decide application development into multiple models. Due to the structure, we can decide with application development with multiple models. What are the multiple things? So here MVC model, we are basically discussing about model and view and controller. These are the things we have to going to discuss. Controller. So this is the main thing. And next, when come to the highly testable. So when come to the highly testable, AngularJS application are more comfortable to perform unit testing. It is more comfortable to perform unit testing. Like unit testing. And next one is like if you take for JavaScript and HTML and CSS, we are checking for manually. We are not doing for unit testing. We are checking for manually, and we are sending to the testing people, and the testing people will test our application and they update for feedback. But when come to the highly testable for AngularJS, unit testing is possible. And next one, unit testing is the process of testing the required portion of the application. Okay, that is the main thing. Unit testing is nothing but it is a process of testing the required portion of the application. And due to MVC structure, we can easily test required module in the application. So using MVC model, we can test for particular portion, and just we can observe here in this application, in this example here, this alignment, this like header alignment and menu bar, left panel, these all are nothing but displaying purpose. But if you want to test for anything like dynamic application of particular, like here image, or like image mover, like what you call images, we can scroll down, all the things we can test, particular portion itself we can test. But if you come to the earlier web development, if you want to test for everything, we have to modify for all the things. But AngularJS is it is a particular portion, means wherever we require dynamic application, we can provide for that particular portion only, not for entire page. So that is the main importance about the AngularJS dynamic test. And when come to the next highly testable, like TDD support, that is nothing but test driven development. Like this is a test driven development. In this test driven development, we are mainly seeing for like it is the latest development process in which testers will provide the guidelines to the developers. Like earlier, if you see for any development phase, in the development phase, the thing is like managers or team lead will be give the guidelines to the testing people, like development mode. But when come to the TDD, like support, like test driven development, sometimes they're getting for instruction from testing people also. That is the main advantage AngularJS. So it is the main thing, the latest development process in which testers will provide the guidelines to the developers. And next one is according to their guidelines, developers will modify or update the application development. Developers will modify or update the developers will modify or update the like application development. It is possible because MVC structure. Because the main thing is MVC structure. Because MVC structure means we can update or modify at any time. That is the main thing. At any point of time, we can update or modify based on the application requirement. So based on applications are more comfortable to updates using the MVC frameworks. Next one is AngularJS applications are like MVC, so that it will become comfortable to the TDD support. So this is nothing but test driven support. Next one is the parallel development. So in parallel development, in AngularJS applications, multiple programs were parallel on like development for model and views. So parallel development. Earlier days, what happened, like if you want to develop for HTML or CSS or JSP, like JavaScript, we have developed for not for parallel. We are going to develop for one-way direction. But when come to the AngularJS, here so many developers are there now. So we can develop for model and view controller parallelly. So view development is nothing but mostly for HTML and CSS JavaScript. This is nothing but mostly for like HTML CSS. But when come to the model, here mostly we are depend on like AngularJS coding. But when come to the like controller, here also AngularJS coding is there. So we have to see for that one also. So AngularJS. So using MVC structure, we can easily to develop for like parallel development. So if you're not working with like MVC, then we have to go by everything manual, like one-way direction. One-way direction means time taken process. So if you go for MVC, it is very easy to develop for parallel development. And here we are creating in separate files to implement each one. Like no need to combine all the things at a time. We can develop for HTML pages and we can maintain for separate file, and model coding also we can maintain separate file, and control file also we can separate file. Like a controller also nothing but JavaScript .js files, and model also comes under like AngularJS like directories. These features makes your application development more faster. So using parallel development, it is very easy to develop for more faster. And if you are right view content and controller code in file, only once program can work at a time. So it's a that is the main important. And when come to the next one, routing supported for single page application. This is nothing but routing support for single page application. Like single page application is developing for like applications only first time. Single page applications we can develop for one time. Like we can develop for one time and we can use for multi times, like multiple times. Here one more time I will go to the example. If you take for if you take for this application here, so this menu item is one coding only. We are using for all the pages. We are using for same menu item for all the pages. But when come to the earlier like 2009 like before development, we are maintaining for menu item code for all the pages. But when come to the 2011 after, because AngularJS coding, we are developing for one menu item and we are maintaining for binding the data, not for we are maintaining for all the code, all the pages. So here, suppose if you require for 100 pages for one item means, if you are maintaining for one code is nothing but having 10 lines of code. Like 10 lines of code we required for 100 pages. Like earlier means it comes under 1000 lines of code. But here, if we required for 100 pages, we are maintaining for only one time. So it takes for only 100 into 1. 10 lines of code we are required for 100 lines, because each and every page required one line of code for binding. So it's required for only 100 lines of the code. 100 lines of the code. So using for AngularJS, we are reduced for 900 lines of the code. 900 lines of the code, and it is very faster than multi-pages development. It is very faster than multiple pages development, because we are combining for single code with multiple pages. That is nothing but single page application. So it is in single page application, wherever we require for same code for multiple times, there we are binding. Don't think about AngularJS means we are using for one code for multiple times, but AngularJS provide so many dynamic behavior. So in dynamic behavior means it will recall the inputs dynamically and display the outputs dynamically, and pages wise, behavior side wise, everything is very high. And AngularJS provides special features to support routing in a SPA. That is the main thing. When come to the next feature, that is the client side state management. It is one of the challenging tasks in single page application in state management. That is the main important. So AngularJS supports required option to manage the state between multiple requests of single page application. This is very challenging important, because state behavior, client state behavior, because sometimes if you take for any e-commerce application, in e-commerce application, some operations is performed, selecting the product and purchasing the product. So many options are there, but candidate only select the product. He select the product and he is not going for purchase the product, but it should be maintaining for that state, because whenever next time he want to buy same product, no need to do for same steps again. So what is doing AngularJS? It maintaining for state statement. That is nothing but states. So how we are doing it? So this is the thing we are done with the client side state management using AngularJS what you call directives. And next one is the dependency injection. So when it comes to the MVC architecture, dependency injection is very important, because if you take for any programming languages or server-side languages, .NET or Java or Python, to take for any programming language. Python, they are discussing about dependency injection. Dependency injection for like application, dynamic web application. Why dependency injection? Because sometimes we required for object allocation and object behavior, object creation. So how much time object like uh, should be should be available, and when the object will be created and when the object will be destroyed. The scope of object we have to see for in like programming, like object oriented programming concepts. But when it comes to the client side programming, here we are not doing for all object oriented programming concept, because JavaScript is a scripting language. JavaScript is a scripting language. It is a object based language. It is a object based language. Here we have to see for two things: object based language versus object oriented language. Not only here, not only for knowledge wise, it is very important for interview point of time also. Object based language versus object oriented language. Here we have to see for main difference, like when it comes to the object oriented languages, here main thing is object, the concepts of object oriented groups concepts are object, class, and next one inheritance and abstraction, and next one an encapsulation, polymorphism. So these are the things main importance for polymorphism, all the object oriented programming concepts. The main difference between object based language and object oriented languages means except except inheritance except inheritance, and remaining things is possible using object based language. So it is like object, while using for object based language, we can able to do for object creation and like class and abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, but we can't do for object like inheritance. That is nothing but inheritance is not possible using object based language. But dependency injection, so in the dependency injection is very important in terms of AngularJS. AngularJS applications are strongly supports for dependency injection. It means developing the independent code and organize the dependent object based on the requirement. So it means depend on the code. So how to do for these things? So dependent injection mostly we are seeing for like like interface level and class level. So when the object is created, when the object is destroyed, those things we are seeing for dependency injection. And this is the main important in the AngularJS. And when come to the how the MVC pattern is implemented in the AngularJS. Now we'll see for how the MVC design pattern. MVC design pattern is implemented in AngularJS. Okay, here it is main thing is MVC is the design pattern, and MVC can be used in any technology, that is Spring in Java and ASP.NET in Spring in Java and ASP.NET in .NET technology. And AngularJS use it for MVC design pattern. MVC design pattern is design pattern to implement client side programming. Okay, and next one to improve in MVC based application development process, we are split into the three terms, that is model, view, and controller. In AngularJS, model is main important, is model is responsible for. So we are saying for model is very important. but some people have idea about model and view and controller. Today's explanation is mostly important for overview about the AngularJS, and coming classes I'm going to explain about each and every application using coding. I will take for one example and I will explain in terms of application. Okay, model is responsible for data storage and responsible for data as well as data storage, and it will implemented by using JavaScript, implemented by using JavaScript, by JavaScript variable and arrays, JavaScript variables, arrays, and objects, and array of objects. Okay, 1 minute. This is developing by using AngularJS, like JavaScript variables, arrays, objects, and array of and objects. That is the main thing, and this data will be stored shared to view to display. So model data contain the data storage as well as data responsibility, and it is shared by view component in MVC. Okay, and next one is the view. So view is the responsible for data presentation.
For Angular 2 also we do have model and these one controllers, all this stuff.
Yeah. The thing is Angular 1 and Angular 2. It is based on the features, because Angular 1 provides some features. So, but industry required more features. That's why Angular 2 is came into the picture. So, Angular 1 does not provide that much facilities like Angular 2. So that's why new features came added into the AngularJS, and they released for Angular 2 model. So we will discuss Angular 2 model also. The thing is that is that. Can I know your name? Is Sandeep? Is it Sandeep?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Sandeep.
Because I know Angular 1 actually. Angular 2 is completely like component driven, right?
Yeah.
Not related
That's right.
to.
Yeah, initial MVC Angular 1, it is only useful for small scale applications and somewhat little bit dynamic application. But when come to the Angular 2, they added so many animations, and they added for so many multimedia kind dynamic applications. All the things they added in Angular 2. That is the main thing.
No. Actually, Angular 2 they don't have controllers or root scope or dollar scope. It's completely components actually. It's a virtual templates actually.
That's why you are thinking about in terms of directives. I'm not saying in terms of directives. So it is component based. That's why I'm saying here itself, it is here a model shared by the view component. I'm using a component word. The thing is, it's come through the view. It's based on the thing is why the way we are understanding. Sometimes if you are if you're thinking about Angular 1, we're always thinking about directives and initial what you call expression kind, like curly braces, all the things we are thinking. But when come to the advanced technology, everything they develop not only for AngularJS, Angular 2. You can take for any other MVC, like Spring MVC and .NET MVC. Everything they developed using component based. So that is a dynamism. If you can change for only one component, it's not affected to the entire remaining code, entire code. That is the main feature, main advantage in the component based. Okay. View is responsible for data representation, and it can be implemented by using HTML and CSS JavaScript directives. So it can be implemented by HTML and CSS and JavaScript, and views are bind with the controller to get data. That is nothing but ng. This is nothing but initial days. I am going to explain about directives, because some people are from background of very basic knowledge. So I have to go with controller. Then I will move to the components. Okay, na Sandeep? View and
Yeah,
bind.
yeah,
So
got it.
yeah. Okay, next one is the controller. Controller is responsible for data processing. So that this is the main important. Not only here, if you take for advanced technology like server side MVC also, controller is the main important, because once the application is running, first controller will decide for which model it should, which model component should be accessed, and which like view component should be shared. So that is decision taken by the controller. That is the main thing. So controller is very important, and here it acts as a mediator between view and model, and the controller will communicate with model to get the data, and control will transfer the data to view. So it acts as a mediator between, model and view. Yeah, and controller will communicate with model to get data. Communicate with model and to get the data. So this is the main thing. And next one, control will transfer the data to view. So control data the view. Can I show for one diagrammatic picture? It is very easy to understand how to like controller view will be communicate with each and everything. Paint. So before going to this one, I have to show for one more time here. This is for header section and menu section and left panel. This is the common code for all the pages. So these pages, this common code we are using like multiple times for like one code. So that is one feature. One more feature is if required for dynamic values to get the data from like model or from like any database also, it is possible using AngularJS. So we can see for now how the controller is working with the view and model. So this is for view component. In this view component, we have like different web pages like what you call like some display. Like for example, this is the contact page, not for this one. Okay. So this is the contact page, like nothing but username and password. And so this username and password is going to communicate with which one model. So model maintaining for all the data, and in between the model controller is there. So the controller main responsibility is it provides the scope, how much time view should be shared to the control like model. So it is the main thing is it should be communicate with first controller, and controller will decide it should be shared with the model or not. That is the main thing. Okay, here this is the component for like view component. This is a component for view. I have increased the font size. Okay, and this is for controller, and this is for model. So already I said that model is the responsible to maintain the data, using arrays, and objects and JavaScript variables. Okay, that is the main thing. And scope here, this is the thing. It is responsible to identify for scope to how much time you have to give the permission between view and model, and view itself also. So here the thing is first end user click the request using the website. So in this website, the controller first move to the from view. Anyhow, end user only seeing for view only initially. So whenever he required for any internal data or anything like hidden data, so that code will be, that request is going to controller, and controller identify the model, which model like logic content for which component, everything is maintaining for the maintaining and processing by the like controller. So that is a very important in the AngularJS. So here AngularJS, the main thing is view and controller. So model is responsible to the maintaining the data and process the data, and model is maintaining data using arrays, object, and JavaScript variable. And view is displaying the data, and it displaying using the components like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And the controller also responsible for maintaining the data, and it is means for processing the data, responsible for processing data, to communicate with model and view. So here so many directives we are dependent. So those things we see. And one more thing is the conclusion is the AngularJS is a framework and it is an open source. Okay, and now AngularJS framework is maintained by the Google. Okay, next AngularJS is a completely JavaScript based framework, and it is used as client-side programming. And we can integrate with web pages using JavaScript and server-side programming. Like we can give for calls to the server-side programming also. And open source is it is open source framework from Google. Okay, and if you want to get the AngularJS kind of links, means we can get from angularjs.org. So this is the main important, and it is a structured framework. And structured means it is structured framework. It implements the MVC design pattern to develop the application. Here we have to remember for one note. Generally, MVC pattern is used for server-side technology, but AngularJS provides the facility to use this MVC pattern in the client-side programming. So generally, everyone MVC means it is a server side, but here AngularJS is providing the client side. That is the main thing. And one more thing is framework. It is not a library. It is a framework. And AngularJS provides its own runtime environment, compile, process at client side. And they have own runtime environment and compile it and process it client side. So these are the things. And I will start for next class for programming using applications. How I'm starting means I will take for one application. Based on the application requirement. We are going to discuss with parallelly for AngularJS concepts, as well as we are going to discussing about real-time scenario. This is the generally I'm going to give the classes using online. So coming class onwards, we have to expect for more more examples with real-time scenario, and I will take for sample templates, and we are going to develop using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. First I will show for problem in the earlier one, then how we are achieve with AngularJS, AngularJS. Then we can easily understand for differences between non-Angular JS web application and AngularJS web application. That is main thing real time, because end of the day everyone going to do for coding only. So my intention is I'm mostly focusing on coding. Coding is main important. Okay, try to focus on coding, because if you are missing one point, it will confusing to the next point. So be focusing on coding. Coming class onwards, I will start for AngularJS. Okay. Any queries, guys?
Is there any tool to write that AngularJS to start?
Yeah, tools. Tools is we can develop. We can do with Notepad, and Notepad++. We can do with both the tools. These are open source. And if you are going to develop with Java, means we can go with IntelliJ. And if you go with .NET, means we can go with what you call that one, Visual Studio. Visual Studio. So we can do with anything, because client side means usually how the HTML, JavaScript we can do with all of things. But only thing is here we have to remember for one link is there. That is the main important. And come to the AngularJS, it is not library, it is a framework. So we have to add for that link. That link I will explain how to add for that link, because based on that link only it will be going to like working. So what is the link means? It is angular.min.js. Some compressed file is there and non-compressed file is there. We will discuss with all the things. And one more thing I will show for that thing also today. 1 minute.
Like in Java, we have the Eclipse, right? Similar way, do you have anything simplest way instead of Visual Studio?
Yeah. I will show you are looking for tools, na? Yeah, so many tools are there. Like
Actually,
initially I'm going to show with Notepad and Notepad++. Then I will go with IntelliJ using Java. Eclipse also we can done with AngularJS. But the thing is, we have to add for some library. That is nothing but some scripting files. So this is the main file, like AngularJS homepage. So in this documents and events, all the things is there. In chart it's not available. So where it is available, Sandeep?
it will be available in the down session where we can see people, right? Participant 19 members beside
Yeah.
chart actually.
Okay. So can you ask me? I'm not able to see for text. Please ask me. What's your queries?
No, I think Ashwin is asking about they can use the NetBeans to create app actually.
Yeah, the thing is, we can do it because nowadays the basic thing is initially I'm not showing for NetBeans. One applications nowadays front end and back end. Like front end means client side and server side as well as database. All together we are developing. So if you want to run the application, all the things should be run at a time. That is Java application we are do with client side as well as server side. Both the thing is possible, not an issue. But we have to add for scripting files. So we have to develop for AngularJS files separately, and we have to maintain it for component based. We have to maintain for like file based. Then it is possible. Like if you're seeing for like a deployment structure, like if you see for deployment structure means, anyone have idea about deployment structure for Java? So in generally how we are doing for application, that is for project. That is our project. Inside the project we have like what you call src folder is there. So inside the src folder we are maintaining for packages. So different packages we are maintaining. Inside of the packages we are maintaining for Java code. So this is for deployment structure for Java, and as well as and end of the src we have one lib folder. Like this, similar files are there. Library file, that is nothing but lib, and some other external files, everything is there. So this is for core Java application. This is a core Java application. But when you come to the advanced Java application, src file is there, and one more is a web web development, that is web app. So this is a web app. So like that folder structure is there. Similarly, web app. Similarly, to maintaining for JavaScript, like AngularJS files, we are maintaining for one structure, like one file, that is nothing but script or anything that is given by the team lead session. Some people are using Angular script, some people are following for companies instruction. You can maintain for one script file. Inside the script file, we have to maintaining for JavaScript file, some JavaScript file, as well as Java AngularJS file. AngularJS files also like JavaScript kind, like this is framework, and jQuery files, as well as and if you take for
actually there, I think those people are chatting like next they have the meeting. Actually need to close in 5 minutes.
Okay. I think some people are asking, that's why I'm showing. So it's possible using NetBeans also. So we have to maintain the script file like this deployment structure. Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. You are cooperating with me because I'm new to the Zoom. I will because earlier I'm going to use with go-to meetings. So I have to update all the stuff, how to watch for text for all the people. Okay, thank you all the guys.